Good morning and welcome to the Life at a Glance podcast. I'm so excited that you are here today. Lots to catch up on. I am in the tiny house. And so we are making a tremendous amount of progress. And I think it's really interesting moving into a small space. It really makes you think about what's important, what you need, what you don't need. And the fact that we're actually going to be renting this space out after we live in it, like we know exactly how to make sure everything is functioning. It's been really nice at the end of the day because the house itself is very chaotic. For example, this week they've completely tore the roof off of the house, and we were drying it back in, and storms came up, and they came up quicker than what was expected or anticipated. And last night, if you would have seen me, I just literally was in my dining room, sitting at the dining room counter, um, just crying. And I was crying because I think that your home is supposed to be a space that is protected and warm, and there's some sense of control. And I think I was crying because all of that sense of control was gone, and I just felt like there was no way that I could protect it. And that sense of emotion when you're so out of control. And there were tarps, but the tarps were loosely put on there because there wasn't a lot of structure to hold, because they have very little bit, or they had very little bit of the skeleton. And so then how do we protect the hardwood? So we were rolling out tarps, and luckily um, it did not bring in much rain. I mean, the rain came, but I think what we did actually helped. And using what is it called? Brooms, pushing the brooms up to let the water come in. So it's camping. It is camping. But what has been super nice is to come into the tiny house, and it's clean and it's warm and it's quiet. And it's been really, really nice. Good water pressure. We have the tankless hot water heater, comfortable bed. I was able to set up. So this was something that was really interesting. When the tree hit the house, we were without power for 2 weeks. We ran on a generator, and we were without internet for 5.5 weeks. And there were several attempts to repair the internet. Now, initially, nothing was done. But then really their customer service here and the follow-up was horrific. And it just got to the point where you guys are doing the same thing over and again. It's like the classic, this is insanity. And so I looked at different options, from Starlink to just the towers that you can buy and plug in and you have internet. And so that's what we were able to transition to before they restored the internet. And because of that, I was okay with it, because I knew that obviously we would want to have internet here in the little house. And I was just able to plug it in. It immediately started working. I did the television, I did the sound bar, I had the Apple, and I was able to get everything working. Cord management, mwah, chef's kiss, perfection. And so it's been really nice to come into a space where it maybe feels a little bit more controlled. And it's a great transition and segue into today's topic, which is, this month I've really been focusing a lot on the customer journey. And the customer journey starts with the first virtual handshake. And you can think about what your customer journey is on things that you have purchased. But what I specifically want to talk about today is being clear and clickable, which is something that popped up. And I'm just like, I love, love, love being clear and clickable. What does that mean? So, first steps when we think about being clear and clickable, it is coming to your social media profile. And when we talk about the social media profile, I'm not talking about an omnipresence. I'm talking about getting one thing right, one thing optimized before you move to another, because I think there are so many layers that we can optimize. We really just go surface on so many things. And if we took just a little bit more time, then we could really get the full benefit. I think about the customer journey and how I purchase things. And when I find somebody in my feed and something that's really interesting to me, I will pop over to their business page. Am I seeing, is there consistency? Is there alignment? Do I see the person's face, right? How many likes on that business page? Like, how long have they been running ads, right? I will look at how consistent have they been with their posting. And if they are consistent, then what are they posting about? That cover image at the very top, I will look at it and click it to see if there's any information right there in the edit section. Like, you can put links, you can put additional information and descriptions to move people to the next step. The whole idea behind a customer journey is literally like, what is the next step? What is the next step that you want someone to take to ultimately get to your back end offers? Now, I want to define those back end offers because this is an interesting conversation that my husband and I have. He's like, what do you mean back end? What do you mean? You keep saying back end. What do you mean back end? And I'm like, well, what I mean by back end is there are some initial offers, maybe there's some initial content that helps to nurture your customer. And it's like, are we on the same page? Do we have the same vibe? Will this person solve my problem that I'm having? And we take these little micro steps. Back end typically is a membership. It's a program, maybe it's a coaching, maybe it's one-on-one if you're a service-based business owner. So that is what I would call your back end offer. And that can vary. It can be anything that you want that to be. And so when I look at being clear and clickable, first things first is when I land on the one social media platform, who is it for? Like, am I identifying when I come on this person's page, is this for me? Are they speaking what it is that, like, my problem? Are they going to help me solve it? Like, why am I here? There was some reason why I clicked to the social media profile. And what am I going to get moving forward? Now, I know, I have a phrase, call the baby ugly. And call the baby ugly is that constructive criticism. If you were to go to your social media profile right now on the main social platform that you use, however consistent you are on that, can you answer those questions? Is it clear? Who is it for? Why am I here? And what am I going to get moving forward? If you can't answer those, well, that's your area of opportunity right there. So many times I have been on calls when we're specifically talking about the customer journey, and I share with them my complete customer journey, and they want it. So it's like the supersize, it's the Cadillac. I want that, but I just can't do all of that right now. That's why inside of the membership, I host monthly challenges. And the monthly challenge takes that customer journey that they're going through. And you want the Cadillac. Everybody wants the Cadillac. We want to have all of the pieces and parts in place. But if we stopped just to focus on that customer journey, everything else is going to take a back seat, which I know cannot happen. And that's really, that point is where overwhelm happens. And so we're just focusing on being clear and clickable. And what step do you want somebody to take as the next step when they hit your social media profile? So, in calling that baby ugly, looking at it, where are your areas of opportunity and what are ways that you can improve? Recently, I'm working one on one with a coach, and I think sometimes it's easier said than done. I go through the same. I never say anything here that I don't do both personally and in my business. And so it's almost like I handed up my sales page. I'm like, call the baby ugly, and I was scared because, it's your baby. It's converting, it's making sales, but it could be better. And at that moment, guys, like, that's where you grow. When you are open to giving something to your coach and saying, basically, call the baby ugly. I know that it's pretty. I know that it converts, but I know that I could do better. That's where I love those coachable moments. And so she came back and she basically, it was just everything above the fold. And what's funny is that the changes that had been made to that sales page were based on other feedback. And when I looked at it, I almost felt embarrassed. I felt embarrassed because I'm like, I know she's right. I know this isn't clear. I know this isn't saying specifically what this product does or who it's for or what they're going to get moving forward. And there was just a lot of additional information on the sales page. And I'm like, I can't believe this was converting. It just needs to be so super clean and clear. Because I know when I've gone to sales pages and I've gone to social media profiles and things are super clear, I'm like, I'm in. 100% I'm in. And that's what you want for your customer journey. So clear and clickable, looking at one social media profile. Where do we have areas of opportunity? So I think that, everything that we do from that point needs to then align with the funnel. Now, everyone has a funnel. They can be in a funnel software. They can be a funnel where someone opts into an email. They can be a funnel where someone schedules a call with you. Where do you have areas of opportunity? Where can we intersect with the customer and make it so that it's an easy yes? Like we're nurturing every step along the way. So we've already got social media profile, clear and clickable, like 5 seconds. We're like, yes, that's exactly like we are ready to go. The next thing is just communicating the value at every step. And so, outside of just the social media profile, a couple of things that I'm going to end with here to consider is one, your email sequences. So, I know for me that my email sequences evolve. They evolve because I'm having conversations with my customers. Or maybe my offer has switched up a little bit. Maybe I have an annual option now. Maybe I have a plus option or accelerator option. And so if I don't do that check, someone comes to my profile. Maybe they take the next step, whether that's a low ticket, maybe that's an opt in, maybe that's another piece of content. And when they do, in an email sequence that follows, then is everything aligned with where I want to go, where I want them to go to that back end offer, right? And so make sure that you put on that checklist. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly. Let me just revisit. I'm going to revisit my email sequences based on the fact that I'm having conversations, I'm making sales, my offers may evolve over time. I know that's going to happen, right? So we want to make sure that we update that. And then the final thing that I'm going to talk about in terms of alignment and making sure that our funnel flows, I don't put I don't put a lot of stock in a website. And you're like, what? I've labored. So let me just give you a little bit of context when it comes to the website. All right. I feel like the purpose of the website is to communicate again where ultimately you want your customer to go. I feel like a website is a domain in a neighborhood, and this is where I live. It's almost like your billboard. For me, I feel that I am present on my social media. I am posting consistently. And when I say consistently, say 2 to 3 times a week. And then people find me through ads. And then obviously we have retargeting. And I've optimized that for one social profile, right? So then when you purchase from me, you're going to get email sequences. And I regularly update those email sequences based on questions that are coming inside of my inbox, right? So another way people can communicate with me is the website. My website is so basic. It is extremely basic. You got my picture at the top and it's Life at a Glance podcast. Subscribe. And then underneath there, it's the 3 products. And then peace out, I'm done. At the very bottom, you have the about section, you have a content section or contact section, and then you also have quote unquote blog. And the blog right now is literally a case study of working with a business owner who went from, 5 figures in 12 months to 6 figures in 6 months. So we went from $6,000 months to $20,000 months consistently, right? And so that's it. Now, I have had really ugly sites, and you may look at my current site and you're like, call the baby ugly, Rhonda. You could do a whole lot better. It is serving its purpose right now. And it's directing someone, my dream customer, do you like me? Do we want to have a conversation? Do you want to see what I have to offer? Really, in the way that I help my dream customers. I help my dream customers who are drowning in tasks and starving for time. I help create a structure and repeatable processes. And that really cuts out all of the fluff. It is focus, there is clarity, control, and it's scale. Like that moment, like all of that can scale. I have had websites where I purchased a copywriting course, which I really, really enjoy. I don't know why I like copywriting so much, but I enjoy this particular copywriting course specifically for websites. It took me 6 months to write the copy, and it was professionally designed. And it was a beautiful website, and I was proud of that website. But I can't necessarily say that sales came from, I'm sure some did, but most instances for me, sales came from social, and social specifically being ads. And so when it comes to being clear and clickable, like down and dirty, where do you want someone to go if they hit your website? I know like we really labor over websites. I know that we think that when we push publish, a million people are going to come to the site. It really is super simple. And so I focus more time on the one social media platform. My email list is the biggest, quote unquote, promotional asset that I have. And so that's extremely important. But the alignment is that everything that I talk about, and let's face it, you're going to get tired of talking about it sooner than somebody else is how I help somebody. And it's specifically really around time management and repeatable processes. And I will continue to talk about that in multiple ways. And I will talk about it in terms of static posts. So, what I mean by that is copy and a static image. We'll do that through Reels, we'll do that through stories. And because I focused a lot of time and attention on Facebook, I do have a second social media platform, which is YouTube. And so right now, I'm just starting to dissect all of the layers over on YouTube and literally putting a weekly system around content production around one topic being clear and clickable. So at any point, like you're going to see me and I'm talking about something around time, getting more time, having time freedom. You will not see me talking about how to launch an Etsy business. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that is outside of my wheelhouse. I can give you systems to operate an Etsy store. I did that myself. Long story short, let me go down a quick rabbit hole. With a seasonal children's consignment sale, I was like, oh, I want a boutique line of children's clothing. And back in the day, social selling was very different than what it is today. I would put up a sample, someone would post their email, I would send them a PayPal invoice. When it was paid, we made the item, we did the embroidery. It was very limited edition based on the amount of fabric that we had, and I would ship it. Going along, everything was going fine. And then what happened after Black Friday between Etsy and social, like the sky opened, and where we would get consistent orders like 10, we were getting hundreds of orders. And we did like, I think it was 40,000, 40 or 60,000 in a very short period of time. And I knew when I can even envision myself locking the door on December 15th. And I'm like, I will not continue this business because it's not something that I can literally replace myself. I went from one seamstress to four to a shipper to a cutter and an embroiderer in a very, very short period of time. And I was homeschooling the kids and I was still running my seasonal event. And I'm just like, I can put systems in place, but the thing that I have not been able to do is to replace myself. And I think about time management and I think about systems and replacing myself like that. That is the key in your business. When the systems you own generate more than your expenses, you become financially independent. And that is what I preach day in and day out. And so, just to summarize and wrap up today's episode, clear and clickable. What does that mean for you on one social platform? Really simple task for you to complete. You can spread it over a couple of days and just implement and know, like, check that off of your list. So many times we're like, that's a simple task. I'm going to wait and do that. The weight of simple tasks weighs you down to the point where now an overwhelming task seems unsurmountable because all of these little small tasks have really built up, and it's stifling, right? And the sooner that you can get it off your plate, it's almost like not necessarily a delegate hot plate, but it's the more done you can get, the more progress that you're going to feel and see, and the happier that you will be about actually working on and in your business. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. We will be right back here next week. We're going to do another episode on the customer journey, but specifically, we're going to be talking about turning browsers into buyers and how to do that without feeling salesy. I think that there's just this negative connotation about selling and selling in your business specifically for women. And so I want to explore that idea and topic. And who knows what is going to be the life at a glance update at the beginning, because goodness knows they're going to dry in that house, and hopefully they've done a lot of tear out. We'll continue to do the tear out. My goal was to be out of the house this week. That hasn't 100% happened because Daniel's been on annual training, and Jackie comes home for the weekend, so I'm super excited about that. All right, I'll stop rambling, guys. Take care, and we will see you next week.